Hey everybody. Yes, as Ian said, welcome to this webinar. We're very excited to have you here. And we found as much value from these as you guys do. So I'm going to go as fast as I can through ours so we can get to the main event. So Ian, if you can get us to the next slide. I would like to introduce you to our little team at Skills for English. We've got Ian and Eric who leads our marketing department. Anything from digital through to website, any advice, newsletters. If you want to talk marketing, those are your guys. We've got Mazar Hussein, who's our international sales manager. So any commercial questions that you might have regarding working with Skills for English after this webinar, Maz is your guy. And then we've got Tom, who's our recognitions consultant. So if you need advice on who recognizes us, if you want support with getting closer to those universities, or if you could support us with some universities, Tom is your guy. Please connect with us all on LinkedIn if you can. We do love to be connected, and follow us on our LinkedIn and social platforms for updates and as we progress and grow our network. So next slide. I want to tell you a little bit who Skills for English is. So Skills for English SELT is a secure English language test. We are licensed to test for all visa types, work, study, travel, and residency purposes. We are delivered by PSI, who also owns us. They're a global workforce solutions provider. We have over 75 years of experience. We conduct over 28 million tests a year. And we are a global network, a test center network. Back in 2019, Skills for English was formed through a partnership by PSI and SQA, the Scottish Qualification Authority. And at that point, we were licensed by the Home Office to be one of the few tests to administer secure tests for immigration purposes. So on the next slide, I just want to talk a little bit for those of you that's on this webinar that may not know what a SELT actually is. So circa 2013, the Home Office brought in what we now know as SELT. It's a high stakes test that's delivered through test center networks only. It's monitored by the UK Visas and Immigrations, UKVI, as part of the Home Office. It's used to access English language competencies for people coming to the UK to enable them, or to enable the UK to understand that people can communicate at the appropriate level of English for the visa type they're applying to. For instance, if you're coming for study, you have to be a certain level. If you come to work, you need to be a certain level. So that's basically just for the UK to safeguard people coming into the UK. And then we test a SELT test 2 and 4 skills. So if you go on the family route, it's usually just 2 skills of English. If you come for the higher, like education and work, it's usually a 4 skilled English language test that you need to take. So on the next slide, let me just see what's taking. All right, why add skills for English to your portfolio? And Ian, you can probably go to the next slide already. So the reason we are here today to talk about Skills for English as well is because we're kind of a complementary service that you can add to the product that you already have. So whether you're an international recruiter or whether you're a student recruiter, you can work with us. We know that there's a steady revenue stream that you can have looking at the annual volume of UK or SELT tests being done. We know it averages between 500,000 and 700,000 tests a year. We know that, if you usually have a student or a candidate in the past, the candidate or test taker would go off to go do the English language test and then come back to your company for the services you provide. This way you can keep working with us. You can keep all your prospects in one ecosystem, offering them preparation, advice services. So we'll talk a little bit later a bit more about the specific types of partnerships we have. But we do believe having Skills for English in your portfolio just enhances the services that you are providing. The next slide, I just want to talk very quickly about our test takers and what's the benefits for them. Why would you have Skills for English? We have 2 and 4 skill assessments covering from A1 level all the way to the C2 level. and all exams are done in one sitting. So even if it's a 4-skill exam, it's done in one day. You don't have to do the speaking separate from the rest of the modules. We matched our test levels to the UK Home Office. So if you're doing a B1 exam, you prepare and study just for the B1 exam. So all our exams are level specific. You only do the level that you need. You can book an exam. Within 48 hours, you can do the test. And then usually within 3 to 5 days, you can have the results. We've been very, very lucky. Our team has been getting results out within 1 or 2 days. So you can literally book, do, and have results within a week. It's a simple on-demand booking. It's all mapped to the CFR framework. And we have one of the largest test networks globally. We have over 330 tests in over 140 countries. So we're extremely accessible, which means that even if you're based in one country and you want to work with us, you're able to work with candidates from all over the world. So the next slide, which I cannot see on my screen. Yes. So I just mentioned to you the delivery network. We've got more than 300 test centers, and all of those test centers are Home Office approved. There's 11 countries in which we are the only cell provider, and 10 countries where we're one of only 2 cell providers. So I just want to ensure that you understand the accessibility of our test center network for people don't have to travel too far to be able to access one of our centres.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to be talking to you today about the UK Immigration Reform White Paper. My name is Sabina Kauser. I am a partner at Ward Hadaway and I specialise in immigration. So first of all, what is the white paper? Because we've heard a lot about it. It's very topical, but first understand exactly what we're talking about. So a white paper is a policy document that's put together by the government to propose either amendments to current legislation or put forward new ideas for legislation or proposals for new policies, etc. So in May 2025, the government released a white paper specifically to address immigration law in the UK and looking to reform it in order to make some amendments to achieve what their goals are. If we move to the next slide, we can see the purpose of the immigration paper, the white paper, is to put forward ideas to restore control over the immigration system, and it's hoping to achieve a reduction in net migration. So what does that mean? What does net migration mean? So net migration is the difference between the number of people that are emigrating from the UK and immigrating to the UK. So, for example, just before COVID, approximately 2021, 2022, net migration levels in the UK were about 200,000 to 300,000. Post-Brexit and COVID, we were looking at figures that had gone extortionately high to 903,000, 904,000. And then following some of the changes that were brought in last year, for example, preventing student dependents, new student dependents from coming in, cutting down on carer dependents coming in, increasing the salary levels for family-based visas from 18,600 to 29,000, brought a sizable reduction from 903 down to about 434,000 last year. So the government is still looking to decrease, and it's hoping that the changes that are brought in will help in order to manage those figures and reduce migration. Also to enhance integration. So some of the things that are being put forward, for example, the changes in the English language rules, the amount of time that it takes to be able to settle in the UK, are supposed to be put forward with the view that they will help integration into the UK, and enforcement will be done better because of reducing the complexity of the rules that are being proposed, which we'll come to in a minute. And also in terms of the skilled workers and the work visas that we're looking at, the UK the government believes that we're not upskilling citizens that are already resident in the UK. We're not upskilling those that are already present and settled. So traditionally, a lot of the jobs that are being filled with migrant workers are possibly not as well paid, and maybe those living in the UK are not taking up that work, and hence we're relying on skilled migrants from abroad to fill those gaps. So the government is prioritising that organisations are able to demonstrate that the first thing that they're doing is trying to upskill their workers, and only where they can demonstrate a long time shortage that they are then able to rely on bringing in employees from abroad. And finally, restoring parliamentary control over the immigration policies. And what that really reflects is in the UK, we obviously have the legislation, but we also have case law, which is achieved by going to court and, judges making decisions and that affecting policies and, legislations that are put forward. So Parliament wants to restore its control over the immigration policies and put forward what they feel is relevant. One of the things that has been put forward is English language proficiency. Lesinda's provided you some information about the services that they provide at Skills for English, and this will be very useful in line with what we're going to speak about now. So within the white paper, there's mention of candidates or migrants having to demonstrate a stronger hold of the English language and more proficiency. And these categories are more or less across the board. It includes skilled workers, students, family migrants. And again, the idea behind this is to have them integrate better, to be able to secure better jobs and contribute to the UK economy, etc. And the only way that we're able to upskill people is to make sure that they have the opportunity to do that, and the government here is front loading to ensure those coming into the UK already are proficient in the language before being able to get their visas. And what could be the potential effect or disadvantage? A lot of those that are from non-English speaking backgrounds will really feel hindered from this process because they don't have the hold or the proficiency in the language. And again, this is where Skills for English can help, because they're able to provide you support in order to sit your exams and guide you in relation to building up your English proficiency to be able to take the test. What does it mean by increasing the levels? So, for example, with the skilled worker visas, it's currently level B1, but they're looking to increase that to level B2, and B2 is the equivalent of A levels in the UK. Again, it will be very difficult for some of the candidates where they're not able to, for example, under the family visa, currently speaking and listening that they have to do. Now, it hasn't been said that that will be increased to B2, but it's likely to be increased at least one level. And again, it's not been very specific, so we're still waiting for confirmation as to what that's going to look like once it's actually put through. And again, a reminder that currently it's just a proposal that's been put forward and it's not been implemented yet. So we will be advising you once we know more. If we can move to the next slide, please. So one of the key things, and certainly we've had lots of questions and inquiries about, is people asking about the path to settlement and settling in the UK. At the moment, under most routes, you can settle in the UK or apply for permanent residency in the UK after having completed 5 years in the visa route that you've applied for. So, for example, if you've come as a skilled worker, once you've completed 5 years as a skilled worker, you're able to apply for indefinite leave to remain, provided you meet the requirements. Same for family, spouse visas, etc. Now, there are some routes, for example, family-based routes that are not on the spouse visa, so based on children or based on long residency, where migrants already have to complete a 10-year period in order to apply for settlement. But the suggestion in the white paper is that it can be increased for workers or, for example, refugees or family members. It's yet to be clarified, but I did read something else which suggested it's more likely to be for those that have spent a lot of time outside of the UK. And what I mean by that is, on occasion, people have applied for their visa, they're in the UK, they've had to travel abroad, they've spent a few months out of the country, or they've got maybe absences that they can't explain due to emergencies, etc. In that type of case, a Home Office may be considering them having to complete a longer period of time before they are entitled to settlement. For those that are already on the route, traditionally the Home Office doesn't tend to just change the requirement for them. We do have transitional arrangements, which mean that, for example, if you're already on a route and you've entered the UK and you're on a 5-year visa, it is highly likely you'll be able to complete your 5 years and apply for settlement. But if you're once the new rules come into place, and if it is increased to 10 years, if you enter as a new entrant and apply for a visa, you're likely to have to complete the 10 years before you can apply. Again, there is still clarity to come on that. There is again mention about the fact that PBS, points-based system, migrants who've entered on any of the tier-based categories may be able to still qualify under the 5-year route if they're able to demonstrate contributions to the UK economy and society. Again, that's very vague. We're not sure what that looks like, but there is likely to be further clarification on that later. Okay. I've slightly touched on this. So skilled worker visa application. So there's likely to be an overhaul in relation to the skilled worker regime that we currently have. Now, one of the things is the narrowed eligibility. So at the moment, there are lots of codes that are on a occupation list for skilled workers, and there are jobs listed on there that are for those that are graduate level and above, and those that are below graduate level. What the suggestion is that 180 actual occupation codes will be removed. 180 jobs, sorry, will be removed off this list that are currently on there that fall below graduate level. I did make a note of a few that fall under that. It's likely to be admin and secretarial, caring and leisure, sales and customer services, some science and engineering associate professionals, again, health and social care visas, which we're going to come to in a minute. So there's quite a few. 180 is a lot of jobs, but those are the ones that are likely to be taken off the list. And what they propose is that we will have a temporary visa system for lower skilled roles, but they will not lead to settlement. So migrants will be able to enter the country, they'll be able to live and work here for the ambit of their visa, but that visa will not then allow them to proceed to settle in the UK. There will be temporary visas, and after the job's been fulfilled, or again, possibly you may be able to get extensions or uncapped extensions, but you will never be able to settle in the UK unless you obviously move into a category that leads to settlement. The aim is to prioritize the highly skilled migrants, and when I say highly skilled migrants, the previous government has said that they wanted to attract the most talented people to enter the UK. And what the suggestion is at the moment, that there's likely to be a push for an increase in the number of innovative founders, those that are coming in with new business ideas and actually investing and setting up business, global talent visas, so those that are highly talented or recognized globally for the contributions that they make. It could be tech, it could be sports, it could be through the arts, so that type of category. And also the high potential individuals, again, that are able to show high level qualifications and experience, and that they're able to contribute to the economy. Again, there is not a lot of clarity in terms of what that will look like, but that's what's been put forward. I think the potential negative effect of this is that there's clearly been shortages in the past in the hospitality industries, agriculture and care, social care, which we're all aware of. And therefore, these new changes will cause additional labour shortages. The government's proposal is that by upskilling those that are already in the UK, these shortages can be reduced by employing those that are present in the UK. But again, it looks like there's likely to be a lot of labour shortage before people are upskilled and are able to fill those roles. Bit of a shake-up with regards to the student visas previously as well. So for students, the position was that they could no longer bring in dependents if they hadn't already joined them in the UK previously, and if they did have dependents and they that weren't in the UK and the student completed the studies and decided to progress to graduate visa, unfortunately they wouldn't be able to sponsor their family members to join them in the UK. Now, the current changes that have been put forward are for the graduate route. It's currently for 2 years, so for 24 months, but it's being reduced down to 18 months. There was talk previously, and it's not been highlighted in this paper, where they'd suggested that the work that was carried out during the graduate visa by the migrant should be of a graduate level or above, but there's nothing that's come through on that. So the only thing put forward at the moment is the reduction of the length of the visa. Again, there's restrictions on dependents, like I've just mentioned, and the English language proficiency, which generally with a graduate or degree, it's not really relevant to demonstrate because of the qualifications that they've obtained. But let's see what they clarify on this going forward. Again, the idea is that they're trying to control what contributions a student can then make after having invested in education in the UK. What does this mean long term? I guess the possibility is that it would reduce the UK as being a preferred choice of destination for students to come here. And what that will mean in turn is a negative impact on the universities who rely on the international student fees in order to fund themselves. If we can move to the next slide, please. One of the biggest overhauls that has taken place, and there continues to be changes for the social care sector. So within the skilled worker visa framework, there was a separate visa that was for healthcare workers. It provided more, let's say, watered down requirements. The fees were slightly less. There were certain exceptions that applied. For example, not having to pay IHS fees, etc., and being able to get a visa in the UK as an adult social care worker or working in the healthcare, in the healthcare sector. So at the moment, focusing on social care, they are looking to actually terminate this visa. So again, there's no timeframes for this generally. It's suggested that visa holders can currently renew until 2028. There may well be some more specific transitional arrangements, but at the moment, with the position before social care workers, there's restrictions on family members joining, like I've just said. The other thing with the social care visa is with the healthcare workers, the Home Office have already said that any care workers first must be taken from the pool of workers that are in the UK. Unfortunately, there were a lot of people that came in with offers of work under the healthcare visa, but unfortunately have been left without work. And due to the number of people left in that position, there's currently a pool of care workers, and the government has said that prior to applying to bring in new workers from outside of the UK to fill any skill shortages for carers, the first priority is to go to the pool of workers that are already in the UK. The same emphasis, like I mentioned, is on increasing domestic training and recruitment within the UK. It can be argued that it's over a very long period of time these jobs have not been filled. People that are already resident in the UK or British citizens have not really lent towards this type of role, and I guess it puts a lot of emphasis on the employers in terms of whether salaries are sufficient. Is that's what's stopping people from actually taking these roles? Should there be increase in salary? Is it a general skills shortage? Are we doing enough to upskill staff rather than relying on foreign workers to come in? So that's what the idea is behind it. Like I said before, the potential effect will be that it's likely to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately, because the staffing shortages, whilst we're trying to upskill workers in the UK, might increase before we get to the level that we're able to address. It is said that where we're able to demonstrate long-term shortages, there may well be a path to be able to seek foreign workers at that stage. Again, and more clarity is required on that. There's been a lot of work around the digitalization of visas and getting rid of the physical biometrics card. So now they're introducing a digital immigration ID, potentially referred to as a BRIC card, and this will be a smartphone-based digital ID where residents are able to have their status available, where employers, landlords, public service providers can actually verify the ID and the visa status through this app and through migrants having this available to them and being able to show to what their status is and their right to work, etc. Again, potential effects, normal privacy, data security around digital programs, etc. And again, for those that may be not too good at using technology or having internet or being able to operate a smartphone, it'll be difficult for them. But generally speaking, I guess it's a good idea to have this available, because at the moment there's no streamlined way. Different people have different ways of demonstrating. Some have share codes. We've now got the current online visas that people are able to apply for biometric, and rather than the biometric card. And unfortunately, I think the figure is still quite high for a lot of people that haven't actually migrated from having their biometrics card to the e-visa. So there's issues there. So maybe one system that addresses all types of migrants will be useful. If we can move to the next slide, please, Ian. Touch on asylum and deportation. There, for those that are affected by this, currently it's taking quite a long time for these type of cases to be processed. Home Office have previously also tried to arrange some fast track processes in order to deal with these applications and not have a backlog. But we're now looking at fast track decisions for applicants that are considered to be safe countries. So there's different lists of countries where they are marked as to how safe or unsafe they are. And it looks like we're looking at fast track decisions for those that are considered to have made applications where they are actually from a safe country. Again, the cases will be considered on a case-to-case basis, but the idea is that their cases will be processed faster than the others. A lot of people that are making asylum applications are relying on Article 8, so under family life or long residence, etc. Historically speaking, when you make an asylum application, you have a human rights application that runs side by side, and this can, even if your asylum is then refused, there's a potential that your claim can be granted under the Human Rights Act, under Article 8, and the government is looking to reduce the applications under Article 8. So it might be the type of applications that they can make. Again, it's not fully clear yet, but we will have more information as time goes on. And visa revocation. Now, generally speaking, there's a process that we go through if people have committed a crime or they've ended up in prison. The Home Office is now looking for the power to be able to revoke visas for even those crimes that are considered to be non-serious. What does this mean in reality? It could potentially, all of these things that I've just spoken, the last 3 points that I've made, could affect the protection of vulnerable refugees. So it may be that they're from a safe country, but they still fear their lives there. It may well be that with stronger powers of being able to deport or revoke visas, vulnerable people are affected or wrongful decisions are made. So again, let's watch this space and see what we come back with. I just wanted to, I haven't got a slide on this because this is something that's happened literally over the last day or so. There are also some changes in relation to, or proposed changes in relation to the family visas. The Home Office seeks advice from the Migration Advisory Committee. This is actually a non-departmental group. It's a public body that's associated with the government and provides independent advice in relation to immigration matters. And under the family visas previously, the Conservative government raised the financial threshold from 18,600 to 29,000 with the view that it would then move up to 38,000 in line with the skilled worker visa. The MAC had reviewed this and they've recently released a report in relation to this where it's been suggested that matching the financial threshold to the skilled worker visas doesn't really make sense. There doesn't seem to be a reason why they would be the same. They've also looked at possible regional changes depending on whether you're going to be coming and living in London or you're living outside of London, whether that should actually affect the level of the financial requirement that should be met. It's currently 29,000. There's a suggestion that it should be reduced, and with the type of calculations that are going around, it looks like it will possibly fall within 21,000 to 25,000 pounds. But again, that's not set in stone, and this is just a lot of calculations that are going around at the moment. So there is a potential that it could be reduced. It has been said that before the end of 2025 there will be a reform of the family policies, and that affects British family members of British citizens, settled citizens, and work route visa dependents as well. That's by the end of the year, so that's probably something that's going to be one of the first changes that are made. Again, we'll be able to bring you some updates in relation to that once we know more. If we can come to the next slide, please. So taking everything into account, the overall impact that we're looking at is likely to be a reduction in the low-skilled labour availability in the UK. So traditionally, the sectors where we've had a shortage occupations, where we have large amounts of migrants coming in, for example, in construction, in care, it's likely to increase before it reduces. Again, what the government plans are to help the onus is on the employers to upskill employees, but let's see what plans are put forward in order as to what the government will provide or what support they will provide to help upskill individuals. Socially, challenges in integration, again, it's being suggested that English language, etc., will help people to integrate better. But then the unsurety about how long you're going to be living in the UK, what's going to happen if it is extended, settlement is extended from 5 years to 10 years, then that will make it difficult. Again, there's an increased risk of exploitation and undocumented migrants, because if people feel that they're not going to get a visa or feel that there's a risk of returning, then it may well be that we have people that don't apply for visas at all. And then politically, there's always the issue about fairness and what it means for long-term, what it means in the long-term societal cohesion and how people will settle and contributions that are being made. as the changes come into place and we have more dates, we will be releasing information. By all means, get in touch at Ward Hadaway. We do subscriptions to our immigration and employment newsletters for regular updates. And again, hopefully we'll be coming back to you with Skills for English to update you further once we have more information in relation to dates and specific changes and timelines as to when they will come into place.
So I just wanted to elaborate a little bit about what I said earlier about working with Skills for English. So first of all, we've had corporate partnerships. That's at the top because it's a new incentive that we have, especially for those companies who might be working with bigger cohorts, which we see is happening quite often. We can do a bespoke type of partnership for you where we can open up test centers specifically for your group of people at a certain time. There's other benefits that goes with that. So if you're interested, please get in touch with us. We have a corporate brochure that we can share with you. And then for those individuals that might be immigration advisors or education agents, we do have a reseller option, which means that you can buy an amount of vouchers that you can then have for every candidate that you are supporting to on their journey can buy the voucher off you. So the vouchers go at a discounted rate to you, and then you can resell to the client who just uses it at checkout when they book directly on our website. And then we have a referral option, which is our the kind of least laborious option. It's a link you get. It can go on your social media. It can go on your email footers. And every time a candidate uses the link to book an exam or an English language test, they will get a discount on their side, and there will be a commission for you as the client. And then if there are countries where we currently do need test centers, there is the possibility of opening a test center. But because we've got such a large network, we have covered a large majority of the globe, but there is still some instances where we are growing to become even more accessible to our candidates. When you join us as a partner, and that's on the next slide, part of the benefits that you achieve by any of those categories is the marketing support that we offer. So we have a partner platform where we have added plenty of material for you as our partners to use. It's downloadable, it's co-brandable. We have complete campaigns on social. So we've got for the study route, we've got campaigns that last for over a week with all the captions done. We have the same for work visas. We have flyers that you can share with students and candidates. We've got banners you can download that's already branded and filled out. We also give you access to Eric and Ian, which is our marketing team. You can schedule 30 minutes with them. If you become a partner, then they can support you in setting up a page that will help you push and get the word out there so people will use your services. And then we can offer you some partnership guidelines. We have logos for you to use. So we do try and give you a comprehensive service when you become part of our ecosystem.